3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 9-Hole Podcast with David and Ian. David, what is going on, bro?
Just another day in the life.
Love that. Love that. Grinding, getting after it.
Yeah, ready to rock.
Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Let's do it, baby. Let's talk about some college baseball again. Let's talk about some college World Series stuff. Talking about money in baseball. Kind of how the NIL money is really impacting all of these rosters, making shit uncompetitive, maybe, right? Talk about how, stacked the SEC is already. So there's a tweet by Roger Wilkinson at Baseball Scouts. Great stuff. I like to read what he puts out. He said, what the NCAA baseball has done is eliminated hope for those that cannot pay players. They have no shot. In coming years, only teams with paid players will advance to Omaha. When you eliminate hope, you eliminate interest, which in turn puts these teams in a poor position to continue long term. It's business 101. The NCAA has never been good at running a business, and their lack of know-how has shown up big time the last 2 years. It's a shame, honestly. What do you think about what's going on? We talked last episode or two, man, touched on these big-time schools, especially the SEC, can get big-time players with money. They have an absurd amount of money allotted to being able to pump into their baseball program. Is this going to kind of make college sports uneven, and the imbalance of like top-tier athlete goes one way and maybe everybody else goes another way? Dude, what do you think about it, and what can be done about it?
Yeah, I think that tweet, for one, was really well worded, really well written. I think you hit the nail on the head in like the script you sent over. It's going to monopolize the sport, monopolize these big time programs. And then I think you almost have to have like a salary cap on it. Like every team has a salary cap, and, it's going to become greatly unfair if they don't. I mean, if you could say, hey, every player gets a Ferrari, come over here, or we get you the most NIL money, it's going to just make it a shit show, really.
Yeah. If you're a top dude, why wouldn't you go to these schools?
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's going to change everything. I mean, back when I was getting recruited, it didn't matter because like my goal was to play professionally, and I could get drafted each year out of a junior college, or had to wait to be a junior or be 21. So these guys, maybe they get some crazy NIL deal on an academic scholarship because they get a boost of, I don't know. There's so many different loopholes and rabbit holes you could go down. But yeah, they're gonna have to cap it. They have to. There's gonna be three schools competing against each other.
Maybe put like a limit on how much money that these baseball teams can give to their whole roster, right? Maybe put that, I don't know what that looks like, but maybe there's like some aid or some assistance for lower tiered schools, right? To maybe help them get up to speed if it really gets not competitive at all, right? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
you think
I thought
NCAA...
Wake Forest was a great example of that. I mean, I know it's still a big time school, but when have you heard about them in baseball? Like that might be going away. Like they're gonna go recruit in some small town in Ohio or something and get a kid over there. Like with nowadays with social media and all these big time scouting, showcases and stuff, like they're not, those little kids aren't going to be hard to find anymore. It's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to these top 4 schools because they're going to give me the most money. And if I blow up my knee or my elbow and I don't get a chance to go to the next level, at least I'm taken care of for a while.
100%, dude. How about what about these studs maybe that are out of high school that are going to these, mid-level, mid-major, middle-of-the-road type Division I programs, and they ball out? Maybe they have a good freshman year. Maybe they aren't getting the NIL money or the, the type of stuff that they would expect, right? Gear, treatment, but NIL money for sure. How do you think those people are going to start transferring out? Like, that's just another problem maybe that these guys are going to have to address. I mean, why wouldn't these players transfer out of there if they're not getting paid as much as, an SEC program, dude? Like, how's
what
that
are the rules
make sense?
now on that? Because when I was playing, if you went D1 to D1, you had to sit out a year.
Yes, dude.
It's not like that anymore?
I mean, now kids have free transfers.
Yeah,
so like people can just hit the portal. Right now it's a portal. Shit, you get on Twitter. You get on Twitter, you're on the portal, bro. And you can just kind of like send it out. And I'm in the portal.
Hey, I want to transfer.
Yeah. I'm in the portal now, dude. But you don't have to transfer down, right? You don't have to transfer down a level. For me, dude, what I was a walk on at Wagner College.
Yeah.
My parents at the time, we had to fundraise for our shit, right? So we didn't get free Nike gear, dude. We didn't get sick batting gloves, pairs running out and you get new ones, right? We didn't have any of that. My mom, we had to fundraise, dude, to come up with X amount
Same.
of money, self raffle tickets or some shit to raise enough money so I could get, green Wagner shorts that had the Nike emblem on them. Cause my school didn't, they weren't funded like that. They didn't, the coach, he would have to probably take it out of his salary, right? To pump it into the program. It's tough. He's got mouths to feed. Man, I really wanted, that's something that I wanted to do. I'm like, man, I think I'm pretty good. I should be, I'm playing, UCF my freshman year. I'm like, why aren't I at UCF?
Yeah.
Right. I'm playing, you're playing big D1 schools. You're like, why? Shit. These guys have sick facilities, nice stadiums and uniforms and stuff. They get top of the line bats. Like, why shouldn't I be here? And then it's like, well, dude,
You could be.
You're going to risk running a year of eligibility loss by redshirting, by transferring, right? So I had to honor my commitment. Ended up being the right decision. We'll touch on it a little bit. Like, what kind of advice are you given to any of these kids? Like, you might see it. Hey, the transfer stuff might be even crazier. Might keep happening, dude. What are you telling your kids in this situation? Are you telling them to kind of like stick it out, honor your commitment, or are you gonna tell, your kid that's a dude, a stud baseball player, hey, go get that money? Like, what are you saying in this situation?
That's hard because you don't. Again, like, are we talking crazy money, or is it's a little bit more, or like, sometimes the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah,
You could be an absolute stud at Wagner and be an everyday center fielder hitting leadoff, making a name for yourself, and you go transfer to a UCF and you get to play every third game or something. Like, yeah, you might go chase some NIL money, and maybe some of that's guaranteed. But if your goal is to play professional baseball, go be a dude, and I mean, that will pay off right there. You put up crazy numbers and you're going to get seen. But
yes,
with injuries and everything, like, as a parent, or if it was like my son, I'd be like, you're going to honor your commitment unless there was like a horrible coach that was just
not a right
trash.
fit. Yeah,
Yeah. Then that's a different story. But if it's like, well, I want some cooler gear, I'd be like, little Johnny, grow up. Like,
yeah.
you need a better bat. You need better technology in your arm sleeve or something. Like, come on. Like,
Yes,
I'm old school like that though.
I feel the same way, dude. This kind of translates perfect into one of the next topics we were going to talk about. So another tweet by Ben Brewster at Tread Athletics, saying most high school players only want to play for a Power 5 school, right? They only want to play for a big conference school, stud, major universities. While there's nothing wrong with this, if you're good enough, there are drawbacks, especially if your goal is to get drafted. Um, while I was drafted out of the ACC, he says, here are 3 reasons I wish I considered other options. And he goes on to talk a little bit about playing time, talks about development, maturity, and room for error. So playing time at a big school. You're a stud. You want to go to these big schools to get drafted. And, you might have interest. You might have opportunities at a lower level Division I school. Maybe you had a bond with the coach. Maybe it might be the good fit. You committed there or something. Maybe you didn't sign an NLI, National Letter of Intent. I don't even know if they do those anymore, dude. Um, what are the problems of potentially like going to this big school? Like we talked a little bit about me being at Wagner. I walked out in Wagner. That was where my opportunity was. If I tried to walk on at like a Florida State or something like that, unscouted, unrecognized, still kind of immature as a player, immature as everything.
You might have been done with baseball in a couple of years,
dude. So I probably wouldn't have been able to play the accrue the type of experience that I did my freshman year. Dude, my freshman year I hit like 231.
Yeah,
231. So I hit 230 with 13 or 14 bags. Like, dude, that was a shit year, to be quite frank with you. And my defense wasn't that good, but like I was doing that as a starter at Wagner. Like I might not even be able to do that at Florida State. Maybe I get 5 ABs in blowout games. You know what I mean? So then I'm behind the 8 ball kind of my sophomore year. Like what do you think about that? Is you think it's cool for these players to just chase hey, this is a top tier program. Maybe I'll kind of put that over opportunity at the time. Like what are you thinking about that?
Some kids, you've played with these kids before that just want to tell someone they went to University of Arkansas, or I went to Texas and I bleed orange, and like that might be enough for them. But for guys like me and you, our goal was to get to the top. And I didn't care what route I took to get there. At these big time schools, I mean, you're looking at donors, people from the alma mater donating all this money. The coach has insane pressure, and it's all about winning. If I was a young kid coming up in college making a decision, I would be asking questions about development. Like, hey, like my freshman year, like, are we going to work on this, and this? Like, I want to get better at this. And if it's like, no, your job is to win, which ultimately should be your job. But in college, like if I didn't pitch well, I wouldn't pitch for 2 weeks. We talked about this in pro ball. If I didn't pitch well, I was pitching the next night.
Yeah.
It's all about development. These kids won't see the field if they don't perform day in, day out. I mean, that coach is making millions of dollars a year. His job's on the line if he has a bad record.
So he's got to win.
Yeah, he's got to win.
He's got to win. It's not about developing these little tadpoles into frogs, right?
Yeah.
Dude, how about that?
18-year-old kids coming in, tadpoles into frogs.
How about that analogy, dude? Yeah, it's not about developing, the best frogs, dude. You know what I mean?
No. And they won't. They won't. It's like you perform for me. And a lot of college kids don't care if you drop down and throw a sidearm. You get people out. Like that probably won't get you drafted, really. But
whatever you got to do to win. Room for error. So like you're a freshman at this big time Power 5 school, ACC, SEC, right? Big 12. I don't even know what else is in there, dude. And you're rolling out a 230 season. You might be able to get away with that, at a lower level school that is still Division I. You still have the same type of opportunities, but you might have a little bit more room for error. There's not as much pressure on you to like, oh my God, I got to get 4 hits tonight. Got to get 4 hits tonight. You know what I mean?
Maybe your scholarship's going down or something next year. Like
100%, dude.
They need someone else in there. That's scary, especially for an 18, 19-year-old child, like a teenager. And I mean, that pressure, and they still got to go to school. They still got to get good grades. They still got to have a social life. And then
full-time job.
Yeah. Make full-time class, job. Workouts. Like, there's a lot to it.
You think if we, obviously only you can answer, if you go back and you do it all over again, you go to one of these big ass D1 schools, Power 5 school, you think you're making it as far as you did?
No, I wouldn't have. Looking back, I would not have changed my route to get to the level I did.
For sure.
I would have loved, I told you I went to some tournament in University of Arkansas, and I was like, this is a dream. Like, kids get to come here. It was unreal. I would have been out of baseball in 2 years. Like, there's no way I would have even got a chance to pitch. I would have been mentally struggling, depressed, not being able to do what I loved. Like, I probably wouldn't have seen the field till my senior year, and that would have been like, hey, give Holman a chance, I'm like, oh, I waited 4 years. He held in there. He kind of worked hard. But I wanted to go where I could play and develop and learn and grow mentally, physically, everything.
Yeah. You might not even have known that at the time. You know what I mean? Where it kind of, maybe that's where the best opportunity was for you, right? Dude, I feel the same way. I think if I tried to chase that, oh my God, I need to be at a Power 5 school. I need to be at a big time school. I'm probably not making it to the big leagues. I'm probably, hopefully I get drafted and everything works out. But and
you got to use your own judgment. I mean, every parent thinks their kid is the next Bryce Harper or Mike Trout, all these guys. But Bryce Harper coming out of high school, yeah, you go to whatever school you want because you're generational talent. But a lot of these kids are no one's going to come close to being Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, that kind of talent,
It's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's a way different level. So if you're talking about that, yeah, go to your Louisiana State and go be a stud for 3 years and get drafted. But there's not that's few and far in between.
For sure, dude. I thought so. Even though I felt like at the time, I was a little going to Wagner College may have hindered my, draft stock. Right. I felt like I was behind the 8 ball a little bit because I was at a lower level Division I school, and I was, not a scholarship athlete when I got there. Dude, I had those same opportunities as everybody else when I played summer ball.
Oh yeah.
So when I played summer ball, that's where I got seen. That's how I got drafted, dude. Because like I'm playing at the time. There's more people that get drafted out of the Northeast Conference now, at Wagner College now. It's there are people that get out of there, dude. But at the time, like there really weren't that many scouts. We weren't playing that many teams that had scouts and stuff. So like I needed to go somewhere during summer ball and like show out in front of new eyes in a new area, new territory, in front of new scouts, right? In front of new pitchers, right? In front of other teams. And like I literally went across the country to Alaska, and that's where shit started happening for me. After my sophomore year, I had a shitty freshman year. I played, in Ohio. My freshman summer did all right. Sophomore year, had a good sophomore year, and then I went to Alaska before I was draft eligible, and that's where, dude, made her braid me, dude. Make her break. And like
made her braid me.
I was trying to do past tense. Yeah. Make her braked.
Broke.
Dude, I had a good summer there, and it like put me on the map. So that's how I got seen. Maybe if you're you're maybe at one of these lower tiered, Division I schools, Division II,
summer ball's huge.
Summer ball's huge, and it can really put you on the map, dude. Like
when I was playing, it was Alaska was big.
Yeah.
The Northwoods League, obviously the Cape.
Yes.
There was one in Carolina, I think was okay.
Yeah, Coastal.
Yeah, Coastal Plains League, right? But yeah, every summer, like someone would get hooked up with going somewhere.
Yep.
And they'd come back, and either it was really good for them or not, because they realized, oh shit, I can't really compete. But I mean, that was like, we're talking about summer ball here, but I think one of the biggest things that helped me initially in my professional career was getting to rookie ball, looking around and being like, oh yeah, I went to University of Texas. I went to Arizona State. Oh, I went to Pepperdine. Oh, I went to Gonzaga, whatever. Like you go around and like, where'd you go? And I'm like, Emporia State University. Like it's a D2. And they're like, what? But I was like just as good as some of those guys. It's the same with summer ball. You go transfer there and there's a kid from, whatever, some big time school. And you're like, dude, I'm just as good as that guy. Or you're playing against the best college kids in the nation, especially in Alaska at the time. Like, doesn't that help you out confidence wise?
1,000%. You're like this. You're this little dude, right? Little dude from a little school, and you're out there on the same stage as everybody else. You're equals.
Yeah.
You're equals. The scholarship doesn't matter. What school you're from doesn't matter. It's just the best 9 players that are there playing the best 9 players. Doesn't matter what school you're from. Doesn't matter, what conference you play in, what kind of, gear and stuff you get, dude. It's cool. I think that's where it really kind of turned on for me. So
yeah. I've heard really good things about Alaska.
It was sick. I still have pictures. I still have memories there. Still talk to some people from there, man. It's like the best
played
baseball.
Kind of like you. I did the Jayhawk League, which is my
yeah.
Pretty
Kansas.
Good. Yeah. Really good competition. And then I went to the Seattle Studs my sophomore year of college. And
Seattle Studs.
I'm not kidding. We played 50 something games and we're like 48-2. Ridiculous. But
that's insane.
We'd fly. They would put us on a plane. We were like 20 years old. We'd fly down to California, play like the Santa Barbara Foresters. Couple down there. They'd give us like $30 a day, I think, in meal money. And yeah, it was cool.
It's more than I was making in pro ball.
Yeah. And then we went to the NBC World Series, which is here in Wichita, and we got second or something. But even then, I didn't pitch a crazy amount there. I was working on some stuff, but great experience.
I love that. So let's talk about another tweet from one of the game's greatest, Curt Schilling, nasty pitcher.
That's huge.
Yeah, so he was talking about scouts. He was talking about what scouts are kind of there to see and evaluate players on. I think somebody tweeted something and Curt, threw in his 2 cents, and it made a lot of sense. Figured I'd bring it up. Figured we'd talk about it. Curt Schilling basically was saying, hey, these scouts that come to see you, they won't cross you out for a bad game. Won't cross you off. Here is his tweet, his reply. He said, don't for a second think a scout is there to see your stats, your numbers. They're there to see the other stuff. Pre-game work routine, what kind of teammate you are, handling adversity. They want to see who you are. they'll make the talent better, and everyone they scout has it. They generally walk away from the guy who shows them idiocy, selfishness, and laziness. So they're not there just evaluating the stats, what the numbers are. They won't cross you off for a bad game. They will walk away from players that show idiocy, laziness, and selfishness.
I think this is, out of all the things that are on the script here today for a high school kid, I think this is probably the most important. There's a guy, I told you I did those winter workouts for the big academy here. There's an older man that helped me out with it with the last name of Dreifert. His son was Darren Dreifert, pitched like 10 years in the 12 years in the big leagues, I think, was a first rounder, huge. But this older man would talk to the kids about that and how when he actually scouted for a little bit, I think too, but he'd come to the field and, kids would just be, their jerseys untucked, they look sloppy, maybe their hats all sideways, crazy eye black just on one eye or something. It's more of a show for them. Like they watch you play catch. Are you flipping the ball around, talking about your weekend? Or are you intentional with what you're doing? Are your shoes untied? He said he saw one kid yell at his mom in the stands or something because she brought the wrong Gatorade or something. Like, that's the wrong Gatorade. And he was like, "What? I hate that flavor." Yeah. He's like, I did want blue. Like stupid shit like that. And I mean, scouts watch every little thing, but if you're going about the right ways, you look professional, it goes a long way. I mean, those are unspoken things that you can judge on.
I love that. So what does a baseball player that wants to get drafted, wants to impress scouts, what do they look like? What are they doing when they look like an idiot, when they're selfish or when they're lazy? Like what are they showing? What are they doing? What kind of player that wants to impress either a coach or a scout that's there to check him out? Like what can he do? Or what does being an idiot, selfish, or lazy on the baseball field look like so he can stay the fuck away from it?
Yeah. I think if you want to impress, you get there early. You look presentable.
First one?
Yeah. First one there, last one to leave, that kind of thing. Have a routine. I mean, seriously, like if people don't have a routine, whether it's pitcher, outfielder, infielder, whatever, like I challenge whoever listens is to email us. I'll give you a routine. Honestly, like if you need a 5-game warm-up for your pitching, if you're starting, I will give you a routine. Same with relievers or something, but you should be doing something every day. If I was a scout and I saw a kid get there early, he looked presentable. He was, going like intentional with the stretching. He wasn't just like, doing things the right way. And then we talked about this before, but in Major League Baseball now they make this almost like, I don't know, outrageous personalities. Okay, which is fine. It makes it entertaining, but these young kids are doing it now, bat flips like crazy and doing cartwheels around home plate and shit like that. Like scouts, I'm sorry, but they don't want to see that. To be confident is one thing, but to be a cocky dickhead, no one likes that.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Obviously, the routine thing is paramount. Like that is badass. Obviously, if a scout or a coach that's there to scout you is seeing you just go through the motions, right? They can tell if you have a routine, or if you're just going through batting practice to take 7 swings around. Yeah. Right? If you're, I didn't even take batting practice on the field in college or high school. Sorry, college is when I started doing that before games. It's like, dude, if I'm just taking, if I'm just taking 7 swings for 3 rounds, 4 rounds, like that's dumpy. Like, dude, the best in the game are working on something before every game, and they're doing something with every single round, every single swing, even in the cage pregame, dude. Like they are professionals, and they're making tens and hundreds of millions of dollars because they lock in like that every day, and they are practicing with purpose. So obviously, that translates.
And then, how about being a good teammate? Is he going around high fiving people before the game? Yeah, like Tim Tebow got a ton of shit for being Tim Tebow. He was different. He was very outspoken with his religious beliefs. Like, whatever. That dude was one of the best teammates from the outside looking in that I've ever seen. You'd watch a pregame routine, especially when he was at Florida. Guys would be stretching, sitting down on their butts, doing stuff. He'd go around to 150 guys, pat them on the head, shake their hand, be like, "You doing all right today?" He'd sit and pray with them for a second. He'd tell a funny story. He'd go to the next one. Like, that guy was such a leader of men. He didn't have, he's huge. He didn't have the best arm, the best talent, but what he didn't have, he made up for it in being a good teammate.
For sure.
And if I was a scout or something, I would love to see a 17-year-old kid like giving hugs to his buddies that, before the game, like, hey, let's go, let's get out there. Like, who's a leader?
Yeah. I mean, that all kind of ties into it, dude. That, you can cross off all of those things, an idiot, selfish, and lazy on the baseball field by, going about your business the right way, having a plan, trying to execute that plan. Dude, it's a grind every day. Dude, baseball's fun. Baseball's supposed to be fun. But, like, there's also supposed to be stuff that goes into it behind the scenes, right? Think about all the other big-time athletes, baseball players you see. Like, dude, they're grinding behind the scenes. And they're some of the best at what they do. Like, the Major League Baseball players are some of the best at what they do, and they can consistently do it. But they're also some of the best workers. They're also putting in the best, like, reps, the most meaningful reps, the most meaningful practice behind the scenes every single day. So, like, it's no surprise that, they're up there doing that consistently. Obviously, not everybody's perfect, and not everybody can hit 300 plus, but, like, they're not there by accident, right?
No, seriously. But the last thing I'll say on that, I think this is a really good point, but when I played high school summer ball, played for a little local academy here. We were good. There's only two teams, like a red and blue. I think I was like on the better team at the time. Didn't really matter. There's two teams, but we had a kid that would start game one for us. His brother was like in at Wichita State or AAA or something at the time. So he thought, he was a good pitcher, but he would drive up for the first game, pitch, and then leave. And I fucking hated that kid. He was never around. He was never in the hotels playing, cards with us, swimming, eating cheeseburgers, talking about girls, nothing like that. He'd show up, pitch his little game, and then drive back home.
He go.
And and we were like, thanks for coming, man. And I'm up there grinding, trying to be a good teammate, do all these little things. And that kid had more talent than me at the time, but I don't think he went and did anything because he was just a shitty dickhead of a teammate.
That makes sense, man. Yeah. Last thing about this point, if you're trying to stay away from being an idiot, selfish, lazy, right? Or appearing that way to people that are trying to watch you play and evaluate you. What does handling adversity look like? We talked about this in the past to scouts and coaches, but, like, say you're 0 for 4, or, say things aren't going your way. You get hosed on a call, right? Or you're 0 for 3 with 3 Ks and the umpire screwed you 3 times. Like, what would handling that type of adversity look like? And how, obviously, how would that look like to a scout or a coach that's there to see? Obviously, there are two certain ways that a player could go if they're 0 for 3 with 3 Ks, or they got punched out 3 times, with a bad umpire. They can go one of two directions. Like, obviously, they can sulk and pout and, like, let that influence everything, or they can go another way. Like, what would the other way look like in your mind? And, what would that look like to the coaches and the scouts there in the stands?
I think, high school kids are a little older, but a lot of 12, 13-year-old kids I work with, if they pitch bad, they start crying, they start freaking out, or the game speeds up on them and stuff. But, like, you can't handle adversity unless you've been through adversity. And these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, like, nothing against them, but they haven't dealt with maybe a crazy loss, or, their rent is due, or their mortgage is behind, or their credit card statement is through the roof. Like, they haven't had to deal with, like, real life shit. So a kid like that, maybe they talk to, like, a mental skills coach or something. They build that perspective a little bit, or they read books, they watch stuff like this. Like, they're training their mind to be better. So when those moments do happen, they can act like that. I like kids that, even if they do well, they act like they've done it before.
Yeah.
You crank a home run, like, sweet, maybe do a little cool thing, but then run around those bases, act like you've done it before. I strike you out, I might give, like, a little fist bump, but I'm gonna act like I've done it before. Same with the, bad call. The umpire's human. They're gonna make mistakes just like you. Maybe say, like, oh, that wasn't in, or something, whatever.
Yeah,
but then,
is that the corner? Is that as far as it goes, or something like
ask
that?
a question, but
yeah.
get back
Don't
to the
show
dugout.
them up.
Yeah, get back to the dugout and get in the next time. That's all. That's what I'm looking for.
I love that. I love that. All right, dude. Let's move on here. Got another tweet here from at Coach Bradley. His name's Coach on Twitter. He was talking about wood bats. He was talking about these young players using wood bats and how tough it is to kind of gauge how good a hitter is or a player is swinging around a wood bat as an under 18, 17-year-old kid. He tweets, "There's definitely a place for wood bats, but as a college coach trying to make a decision on recruits, I would love to see some tournaments with metal as well. Many of the 17U are not strong or skilled enough for wood. It's difficult to evaluate infielders. Very few balls hit with pace."
I didn't know any of this shit about this. Ash good and cold, birch harder with age.
Dude.
Is that like a well-known thing, like in the hitting world?
I spent a little time in the hitting world, dude. So like I learned a little thing. I learned a little thing or two. Maybe I'll share. Dude,
I might tell you.
I might tell you. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Dude, what are your thoughts on that? Like, obviously, metal bats are a little bit more forgiving. You can hit something off the end of a metal bat. You can hit something. You can get jammed off a metal bat. Maybe get bailed out. Your bat's not going to break.
Yeah, I think the high school kids for sure. Watching the LSU Florida game, I part of me kind of wanted to see wood bats there.
Yeah, because they're so close.
These kids are throwing 100 miles an hour, 99, just gross, and these are big, strong like men. And I mean, they're mishitting the ball and it's going out. So
yeah, the metal bats bail out. That. Yeah. Okay, so do metal bats bail out poor hitters? I'm not saying they do, but like there's more of a chance that you'll get bailed out with bat than wood, or with metal than wood.
Wood is like this big, right?
Yeah,
tiny, and you got to square it up. And I mean, the technology is getting a little better, but it's still wood. Like you can't. You can You make it a little better, I guess, but it's not. You're not putting carbon fiber inserts and shit into your wood bat. Like it's wood.
Yeah, dude. So I got something here. So I got this bat here, right?
Yeah.
Pulled it out of my bat bag. This is a D. Gordon Chandler. Yeah, that's right.
That's a good brand.
He gave it to me to use, and dude, I kept it in the wrapper. It's
like, yeah, dude, I'll use it.
Hasn't even breathed air, dude. I think this is the first time outside of the wrapper. So like, this is where the sweet spot is on a metal bat. So like, if you hold the bat like this, you remove your bottom hand, you keep the top hand on your bat, and you tap, you feel the vibrations all the way up, and like when you get to the sweet spot, it'll stop vibrating. So the sweet spot, it vibrates up here, stops vibrating, vibrates. So like the sweet spot is right about
4 inches, 2
here.
inches.
Dude, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot, and that's where it is on the wood bat. Like, that's the signature and stuff, and that's where the sweet spot is. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I mean, you can still hit a baseball by hitting a ball, but you're not going to square it up unless you get on that sweet spot.
I didn't know that about that sweet spot thing, and the maple and birch and all that stuff until like I started, playing around veterans that were serious about their stuff, serious about their bats,
like shatters and stuff, right? Too.
Yeah. So there's different grains, and I mean it's crazy.
That's something I learned when you look at a bat, and if like the grains are tight and if they're like in line or not, like that's good. And the farther away, like the harder it is. And
yeah, well, there's different. Like it's different if it's wood or ash or if it's birch. I still don't 100% know what all the the rules are, but what kids may not know about wood bats are, one, what I just said about the sweet spot. Every bat, every model, everything is different with the sweet spot. Each bat might have a different sweet spot, so you can test it. You can find out where the sweet spot is on a wooden bat by doing what I just did. Right, you hold it with both hands. You remain firm with the top hand, and you lose the bottom hand, and you tap to see where the vibrations stop. That's where the sweet spot is, dude. We talked about the different types of bats, right? There's ash, there's maple, there's birch, yellow birch. Yellow birch is supposedly the hardest. And it's pretty expensive. Ash is good in the cold, right? So ash is primarily, the cheaper, more available, maybe even lower end generic type of bat. That's not necessarily how I felt. That's just kind of always the vibe that I got. But that's better for like cold weather. The yellow birch gets harder the more you use it. So the more pine tar, the more reps you get with this bat, if it's yellow birch, dude, it gets like harder the more you use it, dude. So like you'll see, some players using like old school bats. It looks like some beat up shit bats. It might be birch, dude. Thing might be nasty on the low. Maple, dude. I got a story about maple, right? So that maple was kind of what I swung. But if there's humid air, it'll make your bat more dense. It'll make your bat heavier, right? So if you're playing in the summer with maple or any bat, right, you might get humidity and there might be some moisture that gets in there. Especially if you store your bats in like a humid place, you store them outside, dude. If you store your wood bats in the garage over the fucking winter, dude, they're going to be a little different when you start using them, when spring rolls around. Dude, so in the clubhouses, at least in AAA for me, at the end of my career, there was like a little, it looked like a scale for just a little scale, and dude, you could put your bat on it, boom, and it would tell you what size you had, and dude, I had a 33.5, 32-inch, bat that was probably a little too heavy for me, and I ended up getting a couple hits with it, but I was struggling. And I'm like, shit, dude, why am I late? Nothing's changed. What's going on here? And as the season progressed, you get more tired and like, maybe you lose a little bit of velocity in your swing or a little bit of strength. And dude, I weighed it and it was almost 35 ounces. So my bat gained 3 ounces. My bat baned, dude, that much. Think about that. So I'm swinging a 35-ounce bat.
Facing 94.
And I'm 170 pounds, dude. What am I doing? I'm like, man, why am I hitting 260 with no extra base hits? Huh? Why? Why's that, dude? So like there's a whole bunch of different things that go into like wood bats that I didn't learn until.
I think that's awesome. That's very good information. Kids need to realize too, like I think practicing with the wood bat, it's a different kind of swing, but sure, you take your reps, hit line drives up the middle in the cage or whatever, like get that kind of feel for it. But that bat that you just pulled up, that Chandler, is drastically different wood than that they go down to Dick's Sporting Goods and go get a little bat for $50,
a Ken Griffey Jr. replica.
Like,
dude,
I'm sorry, but that's not, that bat is like the top of the line best wood you can get. And it's handpicked for D. Gordon.
And you can hear it too. You want to hear it? So you can tell they said like, okay, how am I going to phrase it? So like the higher the pitch of the wood could mean more density, right? Harder wood, which is, I would love that. I love harder wood. What do you mean? I love hardwood, dude. So like you bring this up, you hear that?
Yeah.
That's a pretty high pitch. So you hold it with these fingies and then you just boom, boom. Dude, that's a pretty high pitch. And I know Chandler's making top quality wood for D. Gordon.
Yeah.
So I can kind of, so I would test out all my bats. I would test out all my bats like that. See the pitch, dude. And like, different models, different, makes, different wood has different pitches. But like for me, the better the quality of the wood, it had a higher pitch, at least in my opinion. And I kind of fact checked it. I swung dinger, for the last probably, quarter of my career. Dude, they were fantastic. This may tie in a little bit to what we were talking earlier when you're just a regular, great segue. Little dude could tie in a little earlier to what we were talking about, going to like a mid-major school. I'm getting sidetracked, but I got to say it or else I'll forget it. And dude, you're a middle of the level baseball player and you end up you go to a lesser known school, right? And you thrive, you get that, you get that attention, right? You get that care and you bloom into what you're trying to become, right? As opposed to like going to this top Power 5 school and blending in, maybe not getting the same opportunities. I chose to go with, the opportunity presented itself. I could swing dinger bats and like, they're not Louisville Slugger. They might not be Chandler, but like I got treated like I was a fucking dude there. And they gave me the highest quality wood, right?
You see where you're going now?
Yeah, you see where it translates, dude? What's that?
I was like, what is he talking about?
See where that translate, bro?
Yeah.
And dude, so it's crazy how that works out. But yeah.
You just started snapping, and this is how weird my brain is. The other day, I was snapping along to a song for hanging out, but I just ate some Doritos. So I kind of had like the little Dorito residue, and it was the best snap of my life.
Ooh.
I just had to get it out there, but
Okay.
I call it the Dorito snap. If you ever need to get a good snap, get a couple of
Get those cheesy
Doritos,
fingers.
get those cheesy fingers in it. Yeah.
Dude, that's something. All right. That's something there.
Dude, he's got a Dorito snap.
That is something there. So last thing I'll touch on with the Dorito snap and the wood bat thing is that Ichiro Suzuki, the legend, had a humidor for his bats. And like I think this is more and more of a thing now, but for me, the first time I ever saw that was Ichiro, and he had like this
like a box or something. Like,
dude,
do you
yeah, it
carry
looked
it
like
with
a
him?
cigar box. Like you keep cigars in a humidor to keep moisture out. I mean, he had one. He had one like that for his bats, dude. And then he was very particular about I always heard, I never saw, but he was always particular about where he put his bats on the bench. Right, he had places for his bats. He treated his bats,
Like
top notch. Might have
Yeah.
even been, could have even called him a little obsessive.
That's might be one of the best hitters of all time.
Best.
He might go down as top 3, right?
Best. But you think about all these measures he went to protect and treat his bats with the utmost respect. Dude, I mean, you think about how small a sweet spot is on a wooden bat. You think about how crazy a bat can change with moisture, with weather, with temperature, anything like that. And it's like, man, this dude was an artist, just treating his he's an artist treating his paintbrushes, with respect,
correctly,
bro. And it's like
cleaning them. Yeah,
man, I used to question like, oh my god, I hear all that stuff. Is he that crazy about his bats? And like, what? And then it's like, makes sense, dude. Makes sense. That guy was just probably educated and informed on it, and was like, hey, man, I'll protect the integrity of my bats any way I can, right? And look, kind of,
it's probably part of the culture too, how he was raised and grew up, and how he wanted to live his life. And I love like anyone that's that disciplined, like Japanese culture especially. Like it's very, very respectful. They're very disciplined. They go about their business very diligently in everything they do. And I wish I was a little bit more like that. Like I will stay disciplined on something for a little bit, and then I'll be like, especially now out of baseball, like going to work out or something. Like I'm like, I'm not trying to throw 97 miles an hour anymore or last
why do I have
longer
to
in the
work out my
games.
calves, bro?
Yeah.
What am I working out my legs for?
Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, I could look better, but I
What am I
don't.
working out my legs for, dude? What?
I'm just like losing weight and getting skinnier and fatter at the same time.
Working out my legs, man. Come on. All right,
No,
dude.
that's good point. That's good information about the bats.
So speaking out working out legs, dude. Segue is perfect into the University of Florida head coach, Kevin O'Sullivan. The controversy kind of surrounding him, it was brought about by, the Barstool guy brought
That's
it up.
a good segue.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Working out legs.
So that's what I'm saying. So during the College World Series, Barstool personality Jack McGuire made some crazy accusations about a story back in 2021 that Coach O'Sullivan had an affair with a bat boy's mother, and then 3 people died because of this affair. So the story that was kind of reported on and released into the wild was that Coach O'Sullivan had this affair with the bat boy's mother, and then when the father found out, he killed himself, killed the kids, and burnt the house down, or set the house ablaze. Yeah.
No, it's bad.
Like,
really bad.
So that came out, and then something else came out about Coach O'Sullivan's wife's former partner did shoot his 2 kids and himself after learning about the affair, but it had nothing to do with Coach O'Sullivan from UF, or a bat boy. And then that same Florida report says they dated after the murders happened, so it really had nothing to do with the current situation, right? And so Jack Mack from Barstool came out and he apologized. What are your thoughts on that? Is that kind of like, you think that's maybe a little clickbaity? Do you think that's kind of low? And like, what are there repercussions to? Does that potentially harm Coach O'Sullivan's reputation? Like, does that kind of ruin maybe the
Yeah.
relationship he had with the outgoing seniors? Like, what do you think about that?
This is I want to be a good example to any 12-year-old, 17-year-old, whoever watches this, right? I want to have morals, I want to have values, I want to all that. But the older I get, I'm 33 years old now. The older I get, the less I believe like anything. It's so hard, dude. Like nowadays we live in a world where like someone could say, "Hey, Tylenol helps your headache. Take some Tylenol." And someone would be like, oh, "I heard Tylenol killed 1,900 people in 1974 because of." And you're like, "Where did you learn this?" Like, there's just so much misinformation out there all
Yeah.
the time. And I mean, there was a movie. This made me think of this. Where it's like a security guard, and it was in Atlanta in the Olympics, and he finds a bomb, and the FBI actually, he's like a overweight guy, kind of different dude. Really good movie actually, but the FBI and this news reporter basically says that he was the one that planted the bomb. They ruin his life, and then it comes out that he didn't. But some reporter just trying to get a name for herself, and I'm not saying this is what happened here, but you don't know. It's so scary. Like I can't, even if it's like actual factual stuff. I'm like, oh,
Does that
is that
hurt the
true?
credibility of the coach or Jack Mack?
Yeah, I mean, both. Like now, we live in a world where I could put in Ian Miller likes eating alligator or something, and it could, I don't know, you could just make some shit up. And if it's a big time program, like say you were in the big leagues right now and starting center fielder for the Cubs, and someone let out some horrible rumor, it would get spread around.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't
Yeah.
want
Either
anything
way,
like that.
like maybe this did happen, and that's someone connected all the dots. But either way, like you got to be damn sure if you're gonna put that shit out on the internet.
Yes, we touched on Coach O'Sullivan handling that 6 mound visit thing pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Being imperturbable is a fantastic Google word. I know that word.
Imperturbable.
Yes, yes, dude, check it out.
Unperturbed or something.
Imperturbable, and I believe it means like unable to be, excited or frustrated, some shit like that. So like even keel, you know, middle of the road, right? Not getting too
Unable
high.
to upset or excited calm.
Love that, dude. Right. So he handled that situation well. He had those shirts made. We talked a little bit about him getting I can count to 6 shirts made. Um,
I thought
you
that was
think?
funny.
Yeah, I love that. So he handled that well. Like, well, do you think this bothers him? Do you think this shakes up the program at all? Like any
Hell
type of?
yeah. That would bother. I don't care, even if it wasn't true. If it is true, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the guy personally at all. But if someone said that I was banging my bad boy's mom and then they ended up getting killed,
It's a kill fest.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's my name's included in that article, I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would bother the shit out of me.
Could have potentially even brought up some crazy stuff in the past, right?
Yeah.
Unearthed some, you know,
Or
tough
like
past
next year,
experiences.
we got some kid that's wants to go to Florida, and his mom's like, "You're not going to Florida if that coach is still there." Like, even if there's a chance that that's true, which it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
not
yeah,
be.
yeah. Yeah, you can't go to that school with, that coach that's fornicating.
Yeah, he's hooking up with. I don't know. Like that's what I'm talking about. Even like this, like we're talking about it. I don't know shit about it, and it could be true, but it could not be.
Yeah.
And
Imagine if
this is like
that's
someone's life, their livelihood.
imagine that's not even it wasn't even brought out into the public. Now this is how it's unearthed. I don't know how it's
Yeah,
going to come out. I don't know how it's going to end up, but
I
is
mean,
this
it could
something,
be.
as if you're Coach O'Sullivan, is this something that you're going to address with your team? Maybe,
I'd be addressing the media. I'd be doing a news conference or something, being like, "Hey, get in here. We'll do it in the clubhouse.
yeah,
I
address it
want
right
to,
there. Boom.
yeah, I want to address these allegations and clear my name a little bit, and I can have documents or something like to try to clear my name because they just got second in the College World Series, and
It's a
they
lot
say
of
there's no
attention.
such thing as bad press, but like that's bad. That's bad press.
Yeah, it's not good. No such thing as bad press, but that is not good, right?
Yeah,
Could this potentially could this be a way for the University of Florida team to come back stronger?
Sure. I mean, I think you could look at any situation like that, and he might be able to spin that and be like, "Look, there was some bad shit about us in the press, mostly about me, but we're gonna bury that in the ground. We're gonna shut them up by winning." You could spin it however you want.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I wouldn't want that shit saying about me.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know if I'd be able to.
I wouldn't bounce back from that one very well.
No. Last thing, we saw some videos of Trevor Bauer getting fired up. Obviously, Trevor Bauer has had a tremendous story, tremendous journey. He is also a stud pitcher.
Speaking of bad press too.
So yeah, right. A lot of shit that came out. I don't even know how it ended. I don't even know what happened. But like that's in my mind that like, oh my god, he did some crazy stuff. Even if it turned out he didn't.
Yeah,
it's bad press.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't have the time to read up on it. Obviously, I should, but I don't. So now that's kind of the stipulation I have, right? And maybe that's fair, maybe that's not. So Trevor Bauer,
grinding in Japan.
Yeah, he's in Japan. He's in Japan. And there was a video of him kind of yelling at his teammates after getting a comebacker. And I guess it translated to "wake up." I don't know how you say that in Japan. I don't know if he
Japanese.
I don't know if he said that in the native tongue or if he said that in American English, American dude. So obviously the dude's a competitor. There was like a play. There was a play before that happened. I guess that he was kind of frustrated about. There was ground ball in the infield with like the bases loaded, or man on first and second, and they failed to get an out. I forget what the situation was, but it kind of looked poor. So he was frustrated, but it still looks like he's doing pretty well. So he's obviously a competitor, regardless of how you look at his his past or his personality.
I respect that.
Are you would you be able to kind of hold your teammates to account there? Like if you're in that situation, you're frustrated, with your teammates, you're frustrated with the infield. Maybe some play happened. It's like, dude, what's going on? What's going on? This is my ERA. I'm getting bent over. What's happening? How are you holding your players accountable? How are you holding your teammates accountable? And what's the right way to do that if they fuck up or if they don't get something done the way it should be? Like, how are you able to hold them to account? And is yelling at them on the field in front of
time and place, I think. Honestly, I didn't have Trevor Bauer stuff. I never had nasty shit. I tried to get hitters out in 3 pitches or less with sinkers and an okay changeup and a dumpy slider. But if my shortstop or second base, whoever booted a ball, I always look back and be like, I'm gonna get you another one. Like, I'm gonna get you another one. Let's get a double play, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I thought there was like laziness involved in that, then I'd address them in the dugout or in the clubhouse after a game or something. Like, I'm busting my ass out there, and if you got a problem with me or something, that's figured out. But you look at a guy like Tom Brady, that is the GOAT, the greatest of all time quarterback, right? Have you seen him yell at his dudes on the sideline?
Yeah.
I mean, his offensive lineman, he's like, throw a fucking block. Like, I mean, you could read it. He's screaming at him, going insane. And, you never hear really that many bad things about him, but he is so ultra competitive. And I got a couple buddies like that, even for playing ping pong. I'm like, dude, like, you win, I guess, because I'm not enjoying this. Like, you're dripping sweat. And Trevor Bauer might be one of those guys, and that's just who he is. But I think there's a time and place. Like, if you're throwing I hate this. If a guy boots a ball and you're going, staying on the mound.
Yeah.
I think that's horseshit.
It's bad news.
But if you do something like Tom Brady, where like a guy's not playing his hardest, not doing his assignment,
then we got an issue.
Yeah, but if you boot a ground ball or something, like you're gonna make errors.
For sure. I had one time a story of my major league experience. Right, my minimal major league experience. Marwin Gonzalez. So he was on the Twins in 2019, and I think he was a little roughed up, so he wasn't playing. And I had just gotten called up, dude. I'm up there in September. They're making like a postseason push, and I'm there just to, as a reinforcement. I think Buxton was hurt; his shoulder was hurt, so I was there to kind of
look at his year right now, though. Have you seen that? Sorry,
yeah, dude.
unreal.
So I was tasked with kind of like backing him up, being the backup pinch runner, the backup, defensive replacement. So I was chilling. I was on the bench a lot, dude. And this was early in my stay. I didn't really know what was going on. I was still a little overwhelmed, and I was inside. I think I was sitting down on like one of the couches or something in Target Field. The place was sick, right? So the locker room was dope. And dude, I'm in there. I'm eating, candy or some shit in there, right? They got everything on tap. And he said, "Hey, dude, what are you doing in here? Like, what are you doing in here on your phone? Like, you gotta be out there being a good teammate." And I remember he kind of like didn't blow me up, talk down to me, but he used it as kind of a learning moment, like a teaching moment, just kind of like, "Hey, dude, like, what? Somebody else comes in here. What do you think that looks like?"
But the game had started.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Why
So it was like,
why were you in there?
It was like the third or fourth inning, dude. I'm
We just getting a snack.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. Come in, check
Yeah.
my phone. Obviously, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
Even if I come in to take a piss and like I'm checking my phone, it's not a good look. Glad he did it to me, and I'm glad he kind of held me accountable, but also like taught me. I'm glad he did it that way instead of like calling me out in front of everybody
Hey,
and like
little
making me
bitch.
feel like shit.
Yeah.
What are you doing, bitch?
Yeah, that's
You know
awesome.
what I mean? So
I heard Felix Hernandez used to go up and like just like smack people in the back of the head, like as hard as he could, like rookies and shit. I'm sorry, I don't. That guy's one of the best pitchers of all time. But if he did that to me, I'm gonna smack him back.
Yeah,
I would not let, just because I'm beneath you in baseball, I still have the same beating heart that you do, dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, I was grateful for that, dude. So that's all I got.
Josh Fuentes, you played against him.
Yes, dude.
He was my third baseman. He was the best player I've ever played with in 2018.
He's nasty.
I think he's in Mexico now.
He was nasty. Okay.
He was so good that year. But he would be at third base, and if I threw 2 balls in a row, he'd kick the dirt and say, "Throw strikes." And I'd look over and I'm like, "The fuck?
Hey.
What do you think I'm trying to do?"
Hey.
But he was like the closest guy to me on the field, and he held me accountable.
I love that.
He'd be the first one to give me he'd dap me up after the game or something if I pitch well.
I never saw him like messing around or anything on the field. Like he was always getting after it, dude.
Yeah.
He was always locked in.
As a gamer. Always
grinder.
He was a different breed. He messed around in practice and stuff, but him and you remind me a lot of each other. Like he was
good looking dude.
Yeah, he was kind of like reclusive in his like
habits,
routine. Yeah, habits, and like he'd jump and go see a movie by himself. Like he'd be like inside his locker, like all his jersey, like watching a show or something. Like
I love that.
Not really hanging out with everyone, but he was also like the life of the party. But it was few and far in between every once in a while. But he was so dedicated to his craft, and he was NAI free agent out of like Missouri Baptist principal, something like some tiny little school.
Well, he made it, dude.
To the big leagues.
Yeah, did well. I mean, stud. I remember playing against him, dude. But
yeah, but he held me accountable.
Right ways to do it and wrong ways.
And the guys that would hold me accountable, like when he would say, "Come on, man," like he worked hard. He did the right things. So I listened to him. But if I saw some jackass that was getting at me for not doing my job, and I'm like, "Dude, you're a loser." Like that.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, that's all I got, dude. Sir, got anything else, man? Want to add anything? No. Hope everybody has a good 4th of July.
Yeah, be safe.
For certain. That's for certain, dude. Yeah. We don't need any more of those Michael Strahan hands.
No,
Michael Strahan blew his hand off with a firework.
Jason Pierre-Paul. Michael Strahan has a big gap in his teeth, but he has all his fingers.
That's right. That's what I'm saying, brother. All right, dude. Well, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. And David, have a good 4th.
Happy 4th of July.